Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here, and we're taking a look at another studio figure. Last week, for those of you that were here and saw the last video of Soundwave and Ravage, you'll remember I mentioned that there was a second core class studio figure currently available, and it is this one right here, Shockwave from Bumblebee. Now, of course, this is the first time that Shockwave has gotten a studio figure for Bumblebee. There was one put out years ago for his appearance in Dark of the Moon. But why the Bumblebee version gets its first release as this mini-scale figure, it's hard to say. But for those of you who are fans of Shockwave, well, at least we got one, and he is readily affordable. Now, unfortunately, I filmed things differently on here. Normally I show the box at the intro, but we do have the box still here, so we'll let y'all see the box. As you can see, it's quite a puny little box here, and what's becoming the norm now is there is no plastic cover in here. Part of Hasbro's conscious to use less plastic on their toys. Or so they say. I keep seeing the classified G.I. Joe series, and they're still using a ton of plastic. So why is it the Transformers have to go all cardboard and G.I. Joe doesn't get a lot of cardboard? I guess it's coming. But at any rate, that's the studio box for it. The only problem I have is just the lack of a plastic window means that it's a little hard to store the figure in the box. Although Shockwave probably will be easier to keep in the box than what Ravage is. Ravage is a considerably smaller figure, and enough rattling will get him to fall out of the box. And, of course, Shockwave does include a battle scene. Unfortunately, it's partially ruined by the fact that a piece of it has been cut out of there due to the way his shoulders are set up. But then again, this small little backdrop probably wouldn't work that well with him anyway, so they can get rid of that. But at any rate, here is Shockwave. And like all the Transformer characters, like most of them I should say, not all of them, most of them that appeared in Bumblebee, they do take some inspiration from their Generation 1 characters. So, I mean, let's face it, we originally thought it was Starscream that was pursuing Bumblebee to Earth, until we get told, nope, that's Blitzwing. So why in the world did they not make it look like Generation 1 Blitzwing then, so we wouldn't ask stupid questions? Well, that's Hollywood for you. And at any rate, it's got a lot of the major things to click off for it being Shockwave. He's done it primarily in a purple color. He's got a brightly colored area around his chest. Cyclops-like head, since he only has the one eye. And, of course, the two protruding antennae. And, of course, a majorly big gun on his arm. Although this time around, it's also the weapon for his vehicle mode. So it's a handheld weapon, not exactly a replacement for his arm. At any rate, we'll take a look at that piece right now. We'll just remove it. It is basically a tank turret, since Shockwave transforms into a tank. And underneath it, it does have a movable piece here to allow it to be positioned. If it's all the way to the back like that, he can hold it, but it just looks dumb in his hands. When it's folded down like that, it can be held in the tank mode, and when it's pushed fully inward, it takes a little effort on the first playthrough, he can hold it in his hand properly. But of course, as I said, since it's a handheld weapon, you can make Shockwave hold it in either hand. If we put it in his right hand, we can pose him up, sort of similar to how he was pictured on the original box. Somehow, though, that just looks all wrong. Alright, let's take a look at Shockwave's articulation. He has a fair amount for a figure of his size. His head can be turned from side to side. Unfortunately, it cannot look up and down. It is locked in that position. His arms can only be raised out about so far, but they do rotate at the shoulder all the way. You can bend his arm at the elbow, roughly close to 90 degrees. And he does have a swivel at the bicep. Shockwave does not twist at his hips, so that means Shockwave does not dance. You can spread his legs apart about so far. Pieces on the top of his thighs tend to get in the way. He doesn't have a thigh cut, but he can have his legs rocked back and forth at the hip. You can raise his leg at the hip roughly about 80 degrees, and you can bend his leg at the knee 90 degrees. And he does have a rocker on his ankle. So, significantly less articulation, but good enough for a small figure for an adult collectible. Now, to transform Shockwave, it's a very simple process, really. It does take a little work, but it is very simple. The first thing we do is we spread his arms out to the sides, like so. Then you're going to shift his legs upwards and outwards. So that it basically takes his thighs out and up. So he's kind of doing a squat dance. And then you're going to come down here and you fold his feet all the way back, as far as they'll go. Then we're going to come up here to his chest, and you will pop the chest unit free. You're going to extend it outwards a bit, like so, because you're going to fold the thing all the way down. So the chest is between his legs. And you'll turn around and you'll fold in the lower piece of his chest and connect it into his backside. Of course, we really know where that's going. There's no need to say it. Then once you've got that in position, there are a couple of posts here along the sides of his chest, and those should connect into some holes on his legs. I'm going to shift the leg a little bit to get it to connect, but there we go. It's really not that difficult. Then once that's done, you're going to take the shoulder section and you're going to fold it downwards so that now that his head is looking between his legs. Once we do that, we're going to shift the arms. As you can see at his shoulders, he has a little slot in the front of them, and they should connect into these posts here onto his legs. So you just shift and slide so that they go in and hold in. Now, of course, once you've done that, we're going to adjust his arms You're going to adjust them so that the elbows are inward. Bring the arm up to the side and then fold it up so the post on the forearm connects into a hole right about at the shoulders. This is the part that requires a little bit of dexterity due to the fact that it doesn't really give you a lot of room to work with fat adult fingers. Alright, we got them connected. Now, once those are all done, you will take Shockwave's head, turn it all the way around, then we'll get the gun, fold the piece out so that the post is pointing straight back, and then it plugs into a hole on the back of Shockwave's head. And then you just try to straighten it out. And then there you have it. Shockwave becomes a Cybertronian-styled tank. Now, of course, some would probably argue about Shockwave becoming a tank. It has happened before. One of the Constructa figures that was put out nearly a decade or so ago, they had Shockwave in the line, and he became a tank as well. Plus, there was, of course, another G.I. Joe crossover where Shockwave was painted up as a Hiss tank. That version of Shockwave included Destro as his driver. So, Shockwave has been a tank before. It's just we're, of the modern audience, we're getting used to him being a spaceship, due to the fact that it is getting harder to produce toy guns. Unfortunately, here, Shockwave is all on fake treads, so he has no Wii wheels or anything to roll him by. But, on the plus side, since the gun is attached to his head, it does rotate very easily. So you at least get that as a play feature. Now we get down to my thoughts on the Core Class Shockwave. I'd like it better if we had another one to compare it alongside with. I'd like a Voyager or a Leader class version of Bumblebee Shockwave here. Because needless to say, that would put him more in scale with the figures that have already been released. Releasing one like him, where he's now smaller than the rest, that kind of ruins some of the collection, unless Hasbro does intend to release more. Rumor has it that they are, but as of this recording, the only ones that are available are Shockwave here, Ravage that you saw last week, and the next wave is going to have Spike Witwicky from the 1986 animated film. So we'll have Spike in his exosuit, which that might work well with the Studio 86 line, because he'll probably be to scale with them. Ravage was done to scale with Soundwave in the Studio line, so that he can be put inside and act like a cassette tape, as we of the 1980s Generation 1 era remember. So Shockwave here is the oddball. We don't know why he was done this way, other than the fact that they know Shockwave has a lot of fans, and maybe a bunch of us would pick him up if we could buy him at a cheap price. Hopefully that's something that will hold true, since a lot of these studio figures are, unfortunately, very prohibitively expensive. And they do take up quite a lot of space. At any rate, that's my review of the Core Class Shockwave from Bumblebee. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Please do remember that if you like the content on this channel, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe, because we would appreciate some feedback here. This is Sparkster1701 saying I'll catch you all later.